Good morning. I'm going to try and not blast you out with this headlamp. So I'm going to be holding this camera way off to the side. But we are on the Lewis and Clark Trail, headed down to the Missouri River. If you saw my video from last week, this is what I was attempting to do last week. I'm not sure it's going to work out today. It may work out great. We'll see. It's really cloudy. I don't see the moon or any of the stars right now. We have severe storms coming in midday today, but we should be out of here way before then. I love being the first one on the trail in the morning. You get to see all the critters before they get scared back into the woods. Well, I've seen several deer and rabbits already. Saw a beautiful 8-point buck. 3 young yearling deer. They really were more curious about me than anything else. They didn't want to run away or anything, just watch me walk by. And I got to see an armadillo up close and personal, just a couple of feet away. Maybe they're not used to seeing a strange guy with a light shining out of his head out here in the woods. I don't know, but they don't seem to be too worried about me. Well, animals are like people. I'm going to find the most animals on the trail. We all like to take the path of least resistance. So that's how we get around. I expect to see a lot more before I get down to the river. Well, I wonder what that is. All right. We're going to have a change of plans. I'm on this old fire road now. Wow, it looks more like summertime. It's totally greened up. We're off the trail, off the official trail. And I'm going to follow this down to the Bluffs and try and catch the sunrise from the top of the Bluffs. I think that might be prettier than being down on the Katy Trail by the river. Boy, I bet I'm picking up some ticks right now. This is really grassy. I can't get over how much this has grown since the last time I was here. It does kind of feel like summer. Yesterday it got up to 88. I think we're like in the high 60s, almost 70 right now. It's not even sun up yet, which is really unseasonable for this time of year. But I'm curious to see this on the way back in the daylight. Looks like it's going to be really pretty. Oh, and kind of muddy and pondy. All right, let's head on down to the river. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm going to try and find what I think is called the Red Trail. It's something somebody just sort of made themselves through the woods, and the blazes they painted on the trees are red, a dark red, which does not show up well in the dark. But I could see the sun starting to come up some color already. So I kind of know my general direction in case I do get lost in the woods. All right. You know, coming out of winter, I'd forgotten about this, but one thing about hiking in the dark with the headlamp on when it's warm and the bugs are everywhere is they're all swarming to your face. I feel like I'm being dive bombed this entire walk. Well, that little shortcut on the fire road through the woods probably shaved a mile off my hike. I just passed the 2-mile marker. I'm back on the trail again, almost to the Bluffs. So we're almost there. You can tell it's brightening up. I know on the camera it probably looks like it's daylight already. Believe me, I'm not able to see the trail without this headlamp. But it's bright enough for the birds to wake up. They're all singing in the woods. It's beautiful. All right, looks like we're going for Plan B again. It was a great spot to look out at the river, but the direction the sun's coming up in was blocked off by cedar trees. Oh man. So you remember last week I was surprised that I wasn't walking through spider webs? Well, I am this morning. I am just totally covered, my entire upper body in spider webs. It's kind of itchy. I feel like they're trailing off my body and they're flapping in the wind. There's so many of them on my arms right now. Oh well, always an adventure. That's what I like about it. You never know what you're gonna get. Okay, so I've got a ways to go to head over. I couldn't find that red blaze trail in the dark in the woods, which I really knew was going to be hard to find anyway. So I'm headed over to that next section of River Bluffs, and we should get a better view there. If we get low enough, I may just bushwhack through the woods down to the river. I'll get back to you and let you know what Plan B turns out to be. Okay, this still isn't the exact spot I wanted to get to. That would have been down one more valley and up to the next series of bluffs. But we're running out of time, and this is pretty. Okay, so what we have is the Missouri River. We're on the western side of the river, or probably northern side of the river in our current location, northwest. The sun's not coming up from the angle that it did 4 to 6 weeks ago. Then it was coming up directly over the middle of the river, so change of seasons, different direction for the sun. Still, I'm hoping it'll be pretty. It's quite cloudy. All the lights that you see on the other side of the river, I can't tell from the viewfinder if they're going to show up, but they're quite visible to me, so they probably will show up on the camera. That's Chesterfield Valley. So it's part of a floodplain, and we had a huge flood here in 1993. All of that went underwater, and then they built these 500-year levees and all of that stuff, and they totally developed the valley. It's like, really? I mean, you just saw the entire thing under like 30 feet of water, and you're going to develop it? But they did, and you know, that's what people do. There's an airport, small airport down there, and a lot of retail and some commercial. The birds are beautiful, and the river is beautiful. So I was thinking I would do a time lapse, and I've been playing around with that. I tried that when I was at the Quarry Lake, and about 30 minutes of time lapse took 15 seconds to actually view. So I'm trying to play with all the adjustments on the time lapse and try different things to get what I'm looking for, and I just haven't got it figured out yet. This is probably going to be my last attempt at grabbing a sunrise here at the river. What I'm going to do is just like let serendipity take it over from here. Whenever I'm at a really scenic location for a sunset or a sunrise, then I'll capture it then. Boy, I barely found a rock that stuck out far enough, that was large enough for me and the tripod. The tripod especially is kind of sketchy. It's right on the edge. Got the Katy Trail directly below us. A huge hawk just flew below us. Wow, this is beautiful. I love being out in the woods, especially around water with the sunrises and the sunsets. We've got a honeysuckle I'll show you later behind the camera in full bloom. It's really pretty. You can tell it gets a lot of sun by how many flowers are on it. So I was supposed to be camping last night. I went out yesterday, and it was going to be a car camp, but it's the kind of site where you can't park by your campsite. You have to kind of park a bit a ways and then carry your stuff in. So I've got this big tote full of gear, and I've got a double burner stove. Okay, so car camping's something I haven't done in so long. I really don't have the gear for it other than that stove, really. And I almost forgot how to do it, to be honest with you. But I wanted to do it because the location, and I'm going to do this in a week or two anyway, so I'm not going to say much about it, but the location's really neat. And and we'll see that. It's an old silica quarry that is turned into a park. So I'm going out there, and then I come back to the car, hot. It's like 88 degrees. It's so hot for this time of year. Come back to the car, grab the cooler, and I'm in this hot afternoon sun, walking that down to the campsite, sweaty and everything, and I start set up. Fortunately, you have picnic tables, and I start unpacking to set everything up, and I forgot one crucial piece of gear: the camera. I had the tripod, I had all my food and camping gear, even had beer, everything but the camera. So by the time I got packed back up and got back home, it's just like it's almost dark. It's not even worth it now. That's a big plane, big jet. But I always forget something. What's funny is it's not the first time I forgot the camera, but it's the first time I didn't realize I forgot it until I made it to my destination and I was unpacking. What'd really be a bummer is if I started hiking, like I made a 3-hour drive and got a couple of miles out in the trail and I'm looking for my camera. Well, I'm hoping we get a lot more color than this. I did last week. If you saw last week's video, it's beautiful orangey colors in the sky. And that's what I had last time I was here too, a month or so ago. I'm not sure we're going to get that today. I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera off for a bit and pick it up if we get some better color. Otherwise, I think we're going to have a fun hike back to the car. I might take the long way. I think I'll have enough time before the storms hit. The short way is maybe 2 miles. The long way is going to be pushing, I don't know, 8, 9 miles. All right, we'll get back to you. All right, now we're getting some color. I hope you don't find this boring. I can see where it could be, but, well, I'm sure there are other people like me that just find this really beautiful. My favorite time of day is the morning and the sunrise. And then second favorite time is probably sunset. Sun's coming up, the breeze is picking up now. It's refreshing. It's pretty toasty out here, even though we're probably around 70. There was this hawk feather on the ground right by my feet. And we've had this large hawk just kind of going back and forth just over my head, over the camera here. The one thing about watching this on a video is that, to me, the best part of the experience, I suppose, is what you see and hear, but you miss out on the cool breeze and like the smells, the fresh smells of the spring woods. You have some buzzards circling right by us, right there. As long as I'm not injured, I'm not nervous about buzzards flying over my head. Oh, wow, there's a lot of them too. They must be on the thermals off these bluffs. I wonder if they're coming in on the camera. There's 9 or 10 of them, and they're already gone. Ah, I was going to readjust the camera. Those are some big birds. All right, that's probably about it. We're not at full sun up, but I think that's about all the color we're going to get this morning. And we do have severe storms coming in somewhere between noon and 1 today. Hail, all that, you know, possible tornadoes, yada yada, all the stuff they always forecast. So I think what we're going to do is, let me show you this honeysuckle bush behind the camera. And just kind of take a walk through the woods like we did last week and see what's in bloom here. It's very different than it was last week. What a difference a few days makes. We've had rain and we've had warm temperatures. I could tell, even though it was dark, on the hike out here in the woods, there was this open little meadow, and it was so green and lush and grassy. Probably loaded with ticks, but I'll worry about that later. All right, let me show you this honeysuckle. It's pretty. Yep, and there, the few of the buzzards are coming back right above us. Okay, so I came just a little bit farther down the bluff to show you one of my favorite places here. It's not the best views because it's kind of closed in by trees a little bit, but you got these points that just stick out in the air that are a blast to stand on. You have to pretty much get out there to get a good view anyway. So I'm going to do this for Jackie. Oh, it'd be nice if the rock was even. Okay, so I'm sure when this video comes out and I'm sitting on the couch next to my wife and she sees that, I'm gonna get the look. You husbands know what I'm talking about. That's why we do it. Okay, the sun is peeking up above the clouds now, so I'm coming back to another spot. Take a look at that real quick. Buzzards are right over my head too. It's hard to capture them on the camera because they move so quickly. It's really neat to watch them just kind of soar on the thermals that are coming up off these bluffs. They don't have to flap their wings at all. That would be a blast. I ought to get like a hang glider or something out here if we could do that. Oh, a heron just flew by too, a blue heron. Wow. What a gorgeous morning. Okay, let me show you the sun. All right, I'm going to have to hold this tripod, otherwise it's going to fall off the bluff. We're right on the edge. That's gorgeous. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I have a new headlamp. It's actually my wife's old headlamp. Thank you, Jackie. My other one, it must have been out in the rain so many times, it was all corroded inside, so that was the end of that one. Okay, I'm going to stay here for a bit, drink some coffee, and just watch the sun. If we get something a little more spectacular than this even, I'll be back. Wow, look at this. You've got that thick band of clouds that the sun is directly behind. It just started to come out over the top. The wind is really picked up. I bet once that sun gets above that band of clouds, it's going to be spectacular. We'll be back for that. You know, the clouds are moving in quite quickly now too. I just checked the weather and they've moved the storms up till 9 o'clock. It's about 6:45 right now. So I'm not going to have the time out here this morning, I thought. Looks like we're going to take the short way back. Just as I thought the sun was going to get above that band of clouds and break through, the clouds thickened up and started really moving in. Pretty spectacular still though. All right, we're going to take this one last look at the sunrise here at the Bluffs, and then we're going to head on back. I guess I still haven't learned my lesson to always bring that telephoto lens. I didn't do it today. See that vulture that just took off? I went just a bit more downriver on the Bluffs to look back at where I was. That vulture is where I was in the last few shots of the sun. If I had a telephoto, I would have had a really good shot of that vulture through this tree in front of us. But this is looking upriver, opposite direction from the sunrise. There's a bald eagle. Oh, all right, I'm definitely bringing the telephoto no matter what I do from now on. See him? This time of year, we really don't see that many eagles. That's more of a winter thing for us. Wow. How fortunate am I? Oh, that is spectacular. What a beautiful bird. I'm not able to really track him that well with this camera. It's still on the tripod I'm holding up in the air. All right, might as well hit the trail. I do want to beat that storm. I don't have any rain protection for the camera. The oaks are leafing out now. A beautiful color. This is so much more pleasant than the walk out here. Now that the sun's up and I don't have that headlamp on, I don't have a cloud of bugs in my face. And I'm going back the way I came, so I know all the spider webs are cleared out now. So that was the eastern tent caterpillar moth and the caterpillar stage. They're all over the place in this one section of woods, and it's really early in the year for these guys to be out doing that. But they will decimate a tree. Whatever tree they set up in is going to be robbed of all its leaves pretty much before they turn into the moth. Wow, there's some big, I don't know if you call it a nest or what, but there's some big ones out here. I wonder what kind of summer we have ahead of us. It may be long and hot based on how early everything's happening this year. Here we have a caterpillar that's on the outside of the sort of silky tent type thing that they build. So here to my left is the access for that red blaze trail off the fire road. I see how I missed it this morning. Okay, so this shrubby, can become a small tree-like plant, is called rusty blackhaw. And that is something I rarely see in the Ozarks. Okay, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try and lift the camera up on the tripod above the blooms and see if it captures them. They're really pretty. It's a prolific bloomer. What a pretty plant, and a rare find for me. So I was just reflecting on the fact that I'm coming up on the 2-year mark of making these videos. In the beginning, I didn't make them every week like I do now. So my original intent, I think my motivation was probably wrongly placed. it was to hopefully monetize the channel and make enough income to supplement my retirement and afford me the ability to do the things I love most for the rest of my life. So I would like to get out into like the remote Canadian wilderness, the mountains here, and deserts in the western part of our country. Well, in the Appalachians too. I kind of have spent a lot of my life in the Appalachians. It's beautiful. And just kind of, share my adventures. And I realized 2 years down the road, it's been a slow haul. So my videos are kind of slow moving. Of course, I've got mediocre skills at filming and editing. They're improving all the time as I try new things. But so I think everything will get better as time goes by. But I kind of like my videos to be slow, and that's not what really entertains a lot of people, and that's okay. So now I think my motivation is more correctly placed, and that is to share the beauty of being outdoors with the people who enjoy my way of sharing it. Now, sometimes there's a bit of an adventure tied into it, but mostly it's just the beauty of nature. And that's good. I like it that way. It allows me to be me, and I know the people that do watch my videos are the people that really enjoy what I'm doing. The same thing I do, the beauty of nature. So I like it, and I'm really happy for the opportunity. Thanks for coming along. I appreciate sharing this with people, and I'm happy. Oh, there's a gorgeous violet. Sorry. Oh, squirrel. But let me show you this violet. But I'm, excuse me, happy you're along for the journey. Let me show you this violet. It's really pretty. Okay, so I was wrong. It's not a violet. It's a spiderwort. That's quite pretty. Look at all. Look at all these May apples. And quite a few of them are still in bloom. They have a beautiful flower. Let's take a look at a couple. Serenaded by the birds. This one's developing the fruit. And I can't pass up the phlox. Okay, so I was thinking about the Appalachians. That's the one mountain chain I've probably spent the majority of my life in. It's just beautiful there, all of it from the north to the south. And I was thinking about how if you're from the southern part of the country, it's the Appalachians. And if you're from the northern part, it's the Appalachians. But there is one little trick you can use to remember how to pronounce it correctly. If you don't say it correctly, I'll throw an apple at you. There are several bunches of this narcissus here in the woods. So at one time, this was someone's home. Let's take a closer look at these flowers. It's the poet's narcissus. They're very beautiful. Well, there are dozens of these plants covering about 150-foot area, and little pieces of concrete here and there. Definitely used to be someone's home. Okay, we're nearly back to the trailhead, and this is a busy trailhead any day of the week actually, so it's a good time to say goodbye. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed our time together. See you next week. Bye-bye.